A sprint car team shuttered the end for another dirt track, and no, this modified isn't AI generated. It's a real race car that we'll talk about today. Let's go. It's Wednesday, September 24th. I'm Justin Fiedler. This is DIRTRACKR Daily presented by Kubota Genuine Parts. When I put these shows together 5 days a week, I do a lot of research each day, usually multiple hours to try and bring you the best possible picture of what's going on in the sport. I watch a ton of racing action, but that's not enough to understand everything that's going on, which is why I built DIRTRACKR's analytics section a couple of years ago. It's got race results and stat breakdowns for all of the top national series and special events, and at this moment is somewhere 2,400 races plus worth of information. And if you want access to every tool and number I use for these shows, grab a subscription to DIRTRACKR Plus, $4.99 a month or $49.99 for the year. The year subscription, it gets you basically 2 months for free. And you can cancel super easy anytime you want. Signing up gets you access to exclusive insights you're not going to find anywhere else. Whether you're a race fan, a member of the media, or you work for a series or a track, DIRTRACKR Plus is the perfect resource for current dirt racing knowledge. If you want to check out information on both World of Outlaws series, all three USAC national divisions, Chili Bowl, High Limit, Lucas, and a whole lot more, see everything Plus has to offer and sign up for a subscription over at dirtrackr.com/getplus. This past weekend, Granite City Motor Park in Minnesota hosted their 5th annual Piston Cup event that featured multiple WISSOTA divisions. That included 18 entries for the modifieds, but there was one car there that looked very different from the others that were unloaded. I was sent a photo of this car yesterday, and I know other shots of it have been kind of making the rounds on social media. This car is so wild looking. I had one friend tell me they thought that the photo was AI generated. I saw one comment somewhere else that said it looked like it was drawn by a toddler. But it is, in fact, a real race car, and it was built and driven by Minnesota racer Matt Baker. Baker only gets to race a handful of times a season, as he told me he's busy running a business, but his car has certainly gotten some attention this week. I traded some messages with him today because I wanted to know more about the wild design, and he told me this is the first time he's built a car completely from scratch. He's become known for running odd designs, but past cars were chopped up from other cars in bits and pieces. He told me this one is called the Diablo E1, great name, and he put it together to test a few ideas for a future build. Baker doesn't have access to a wind tunnel, but said he loves playing with aero stuff, speculating on what could work, and having fun with it. There are supposedly a bunch of non-conventional things happening here, which you probably didn't need me to even say. He wouldn't go into great detail, though, on his ideas, which is a typical car builder thing to do. He also had the rear of the car covered in one of the shots that I saw. On the aero side, Baker did reveal that he's hoping to have less lift on the back of the roof and more airflow to the spoiler. And the body is the most notable thing here, but a lot of people have also called out the right front camber. And if you're not watching this, if you're listening to the podcast right now, I would certainly recommend going and finding the video version so you can see what I'm talking about. But as we see this car on the screen, you can see all sorts of odd things. If you look at the top of the roof, actually right by where the driver sits, that's kind of a high point right there. That's definitely very odd compared to some other cars. And there's also this kind of gurney flap along the left front there that, I would assume is for catching air, but lots of little details and things you can see when you're kind of starting to look at this photo. But obviously that camber, it stands out. Looking at some other pictures of this car, at speed, that actually right front looks a lot more normal when it's kind of in dynamic, posture, as you hear about some of these cars talked about. This particular car and design will be one and done. Actually, this last weekend was the only time this car will be raced. Baker will take what he learned from the E1 and put it towards a new version, which he's going to call the E2. Granite City ran 2 shows over the weekend. Baker went 18th to 9th in the first race, but unfortunately DNF'd in the second one after starting 6th. He said the car really wanted to rotate a lot in that first show, but he tightened it up too much for the second. I was super curious about what officials had to say about the car, and Baker told me the tech guy had one concern about it, but that it was within the rules. Baker said, quote, "I've never been DQ'd on a body infraction." The next version of Baker's design will take a few months to build, as he can only work on it in his spare time, and that he won't race again until 2026. My favorite part of the conversation was when Baker told me, quote, "I'm no stranger to being laughed at. The odds are really stacked against me being a single car operation, so I figure I might as well swing for the fences. When you land on something good that you designed, prototyped, tested, and beat the big name cars with, it's a feeling like no other," unquote. I absolutely love that. Hopefully we get to see the E2 on track sometime early next year. Moving on, we know that there are several NASCAR drivers and past drivers who are heavily involved in dirt racing. The easy ones that come to mind are the Tony Stewarts and Casey Kanes, Kyle Larson, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. All drivers, owners, and or both here. Current Hendrick Motorsports driver and past Dirt Tracker interview guest Alex Bowman is also on that list. We've seen both wing sprint cars and Chili Bowl midgets campaigned out of the ABR shop in recent years. The midgets, they've done well in Tulsa, and Bowman and his guys build some really nice stuff. Bowman himself was driving some, but after crashing during a high-limit race at 34 Raceway in 2023, he scaled back to just focus on his cup ride. He was injured, had, I believe, a compression fracture in his back, if I remember. The sprint car did come out some after his injury, and we saw guys like CJ Leary and Hunter Schurenberg drive it. The LI-55 car, though, hasn't been seen during this 2025 season, and for very good reason. We found out via a social media reply late last week that ABR has sold all of its sprint car equipment. Bowman still has midgets in his shop and will continue running the Chili Bowl, but no more winged 410 stuff. The car last appeared at World Finals in 2024, but Leary missed the feature both nights it ran. Before getting injured in 2023, Bowman himself made 38 410 appearances from 2021 to 2023. He ran 14 times with the World of Outlaws, 12 with the All-Stars, plus other races with High Limit, the AFCS, MOA, and Fast. He's got 2 top 5s and 8 top 10s, including running 6th in the very first High Limit show in 2022. Certainly a bummer to hear that the ABR sprint car team is no more, but it's hard to blame Bowman for getting out. It's a lot of money to just have sitting around the shop, and I could see a scenario where he doubles back to some more dirt stuff as his NASCAR career starts to wind down, hopefully much later on. But having a top flight ride like he does at Hendrick has to be his main focus, especially after missing races with that injury a couple of years ago. Finally, today, the end is near for yet another dirt track. Announced last night, Fayetteville Motor Speedway here in North Carolina will finish out its 2025 season and then shut down for good. The track's owners have sold the 500-acre facility that includes the dirt track and a drag strip, and the site will be redeveloped for industrial and commercial use. Just 5 races remain on the track schedule, including a stop this weekend for the Carolina Clash late models. That one pays $7,500 to win. They also have street stocks and other divisions on October 4th. They've got weekly action on October 25th, and it looks like special events November 8th and 29th. You can see the full statement from promoters David Mitchell and Shay Martin over on the Fayetteville Motor Speedway Facebook page. That's the Daily Show for today. If you've gotten all the way to this point in the episode and you don't already subscribe to the show, maybe consider hitting that button. You can subscribe for free on YouTube and the podcast places, and like and follow on Facebook. New shows are posted 5 days a week to those platforms, plus DIRTRACKR.com. Hope you guys have a great rest of your Wednesday out there. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.